Does it feel like your teen goes from calm to meltdown in seconds over things like a simple text or walking into a crowded room? What if you could help them stay calm and in control no matter what? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Keisha Golder, and I'm here to help you reconnect with your life purpose and raise emotionally intelligent teens. If you've been here before, you already know the value of these strategies. So stick around because today we're going to unlock 5 practical coping skills that could completely change how your teen handles their emotion. By the end of this video, you'll have a roadmap to help your teen recognize emotional triggers, name what they are feeling, set boundaries, flip negative thoughts, and create an emotion regulation plan that works for them. And trust me, these skills aren't just theory, they're real life game changers. Let's start with emotional triggers. Have you ever noticed how your teen can go from calm to upset in the blink of an eye? Maybe it's after a tough day of school or even something as small as not getting a text back. That's because they have emotional triggers, which are specific situations that spark strong reactions. But here's where it gets interesting. Most teens don't even realize what sets them off. Here's a simple trick. Have your teen track their emotions for 1 week. This is where patterns start to emerge. Do they get anxious before exams? Frustrated when friends don't text back? Spotting these triggers is like holding a key to understanding their emotional response. Once they know what's triggering, what's next? How do they manage these feelings? That's where the real power comes in. Now, let's talk about recognizing and naming emotion. You know the moment when your teen says, I'm fine, but you can tell they're definitely not fine. Here's the deal. If your teen can't name what they're feeling, can they manage it? Instead of, I'm mad, imagine if your teen could say, I'm frustrated because I feel left out. When they can name their emotions, they're in a driver's seat and it's like flipping a switch. Think about the change if your teen could say, I'm not angry, I'm just anxious about this test. That kind of clarity can completely shift how they handle stress. Now that your teen knows what they're feeling, the next step is key. What happens when those emotions come from others? Let's dive into setting emotional boundaries. Setting emotional boundaries is a game changer. Picture this. Your teen feels overwhelmed after a long hangout with friends, and instead of taking a break, they push through and end up emotionally drained. Does this sound familiar? What if your teen knew how to say no or take a step back when things get too intense? It's not about being rude. It's about protecting their emotional energy. Setting boundaries isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about knowing when to protect their peace. And once they master this, their emotional health can improve dramatically. But even with boundaries, emotions can't always be avoided. So what happens when your teen's mind is full of negative thoughts? That's where reframing comes in. Teens often get stuck in a loop of negative thinking. I'll never pass this test, or no one likes me. Have you heard this before? This is where reframing comes in, and it can be a pivotal moment for your teen. What if you could take those negative thoughts and flip them? Instead of, I'm going to fail, they could say, I studied hard and I'll do my best. That small shift makes a world of difference. When we reframe thoughts, our brain actually rewires the way it responds emotionally. The next time your teen says, I'm terrible at this, have them reframe it to, I'm still learning, and that's okay. Now, we've talked about recognizing triggers, naming emotions, and reframing thoughts. But what if your teen had a plan that they could turn to when emotions get overwhelming? Let's talk about creating an emotional regulation plan. Here is where it all comes together. creating an emotional regulation plan. Think of it as an emotional emergency kit for your team. This plan includes 3 simple things: identifying triggers, like we talked about earlier, coping strategies, which could be deep breathing, journaling, or taking a break, and a go to action, which may be talking to a trusted adult, using a calming app, or going for a walk. Sitting down and creating this plan together can change how your team handles those tough emotional moments. Imagine the confidence they'll feel knowing they have a toolkit ready to go. Do you want to make this plan even more effective? Ask your team what has worked in the past when they felt overwhelmed and build it into their plan. There you have it. We've covered 5 essential strategies: understanding emotional triggers, naming emotions, setting boundaries, reframing thoughts, and creating an emotion regulation plan. These simple steps can transform how your team manages their emotions. If this video gave you an aha moment, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more ways on how to help your team build their emotional intelligence. I'd love to hear from you. What's one emotional trigger? I'd love to hear from you. What's one emotional trigger that you know your child struggles with? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.